Hi. If you only have 8 nights in Vietnam, here's the exact itinerary I did this year in May, and I absolutely recommend it. Whether it's your first time visiting Vietnam or you're trying to make the most out of a short trip, I'll show you how I explored this incredible country as a traveler. From transportation tips and must try foods to the experiences that made this trip unforgettable. I'll share everything I learned along the way so you can plan your own Vietnam trip with confidence. Let's get started. My friend Sheila and I decided to start in the north and make our way down to the south of Vietnam. We flew from Malaysia to Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, where we spent our first 24 hours exploring this charming city. I'll link my Hanoi video guide in the description, so be sure to watch that next if you're planning a trip to Hanoi. We stayed at one of the most liveliest historical neighborhoods, French Quarter. It's filled with cafes, street vendors, and nonstop energy. Be aware, you might be overstimulated, but remember to enjoy this moment. Getting around Hanoi was surprisingly easy and affordable. We either walked around or used rideshare apps. After landing, we called a ride to our hostel, dropped off our bags, and immediately headed out for lunch. Our first stop was to get lunch at the world's cheapest Michelin-starred restaurant, and it definitely lived up the hype. Fun fact, I never intentionally used chopsticks before until that moment. I was just way too tired to deal with language barrier or pull out my phone to ask for a fork, and I could tell this place was incredibly busy to even get a staff's attention. So I told myself, that's it, you're finally learning how to use chopsticks, and surprisingly, I got the hang of it pretty quickly. With full stomachs, we spent the rest of the afternoon sightseeing. We visited Hanoi's most beautiful temples, crossed the city's famously chaotic streets, and wandered through the narrow alleyways that make Hanoi so unique. Of course, we couldn't leave without grabbing Vietnamese coffee. We made it a daily ritual to have Vietnamese coffee every single day throughout the trip. And don't forget to try egg coffee. It was a new drink that I discovered and Sheila told me about it. And I honestly thought that coffee was way better than Vietnamese coffee. So good that I packed some back and brought it back to the States. After our coffee break, we gained energy and explored the street markets and did a little bit of shopping before ending the day with dinner at another well-known restaurant. The spot where former US President Barack Obama and late Anthony Bourdain dined at, and the restaurant proudly celebrates that memorable visit. Definitely walk around and take a look at the place. There are pictures all over with Barack Obama, Anthony Bourdain, and the staff. Before ending our first night in Vietnam, we had to experience a famous street. I mean, did we really go to Vietnam if we didn't visit the iconic train street? We looked up the train schedule ahead of time, so we knew exactly when it would pass. And our goal was to find a spot on the second floor. I highly recommend doing this because many of the cafes along the train street are 2 stories, and the upper level gives you a much better view while avoiding the crowds below. The next morning, I woke up early to pack up my bags. Sheila decided to sleep in. So I went ahead and explored the French Quarter on my own. Honestly, I was just walking through this neighborhood and it kept me entertained. It was so different from what I'm used to in the States. I love people watching, so I found a cafe, sat down, and just took in the moment while sipping my iced Vietnamese coffee. After that, I headed back to the hostel to meet up with Sheila, so we decided to grab a couple of banh mi for the road. The hostel we stayed at ended up accommodating about 80% of our entire Vietnam trip. If Hanoi is on your top of your Vietnam itinerary, don't miss my dedicated Hanoi guide. I shared everything I wish I knew before visiting, but must try food to hidden gems and practical travel tips. From Hanoi, we grabbed our bags, hopped on a cabin bus, and started our journey towards Ha Giang. From Hanoi, we took a very comfortable cabin bus to Ha Giang to experience the famous 3-day, 2-night Ha Giang Loop. And without a doubt, it was one of the biggest highlights of my entire Vietnam trip. If you haven't already, be sure to check out my full in-depth Ha Giang Loop video. Our tour included designated easy riders, a travel group, all accommodations, breakfast, lunch, family style dinners, and homestays. You can choose between dorm style accommodations, private rooms, or a mix of both, which is what we did. The vibe, ride all day, party all night. It's one of the best ways to connect with other travelers from around the world. That said, be prepared. The days are long, the roads can be physically demanding, and you'll be on the back of a motorbike for hours at a time. Being in physical and mental shape will make the experience so much enjoyable. When we returned to Ha Giang at the end of the loop, we honestly couldn't process what we had just experienced. It wasn't until days afterward that everything really started to sink in. The Ha Giang Loop is one of the most rare experience you'll want to fully be present for. Take it all in while you're there, because once it's over, you'll find yourself replaying those memories for days, maybe even weeks. It's equal parts peaceful and exhilarating, adventurous and grounding. Truly once in a lifetime experience that stays with you long after the ride is over. After our 3-day loop, we returned to our Ha Giang home base. We headed to Cat Ba Island next for our 2-day, 1-night cruise. You've probably heard of Ha Long Bay, known for its famous limestone islands. But Cat Ba offers a very similar experience with fewer crowds, which is exactly why we chose it. By this point of the trip, my body was definitely starting to feel the effect of non-stop travel and lack of sleep. I was feeling a little sick, but after finishing the Ha Giang Loop, we hopped on an overnight sleeper bus right afterwards. Then in the morning, we transferred to a shuttle bus that dropped us off in the middle of the port. The directions weren't very clear from the driver or the hostel, so we were a little confused at first, but eventually figured it out.
So I'm in Kataba and we are basically stranded. Our bus driver just dropped us off and told us to walk and then just left us. We didn't even say bye.
Once we found our pickup spot, we grabbed breakfast and I took an opportunity to reorganize my luggage again. And honestly, that's just part of the backpacking experience. You're constantly unpacking and repacking your entire life, trying to keep everything organized while moving from place to place. The cruise host contacted me through WhatsApp and was great at communicating throughout the entire process. He picked us up into the charter bus and guided us into the cruise ship. The cruise ship had so many activities planned for us, but at this point, I was really sick and running on very little sleep. Honestly, all I wanted to do was relax, swim, take pictures with the incredible backdrop of the limestone islands. We went kayaking, spent time swimming, and enjoyed the beautiful scenery. The cruise ship itself was honestly amazing. It had air conditioning, a rooftop deck, private rooms, a full bar, Wi-Fi, functional bathrooms, chef on deck with great food, and even had karaoke night. I did miss out on biking through the national park because my body really needed the rest. I even skipped breakfast and asked Sheila to bring me anything that had vitamin and fruits. The crew was incredibly caring and looked after me throughout the trip. They gave me ginger and salt with lime to help me feel better. And even the other passengers offered me medicine. It was such a kind reminder of how amazing the people you meet while traveling can be. After the cruise, we hopped on a charter bus back to Hanoi. We left our luggage at our original hostel and grabbed some banh mi to go, and then caught our sleeper train to our final destination, Da Nang, known as the Miami of Asia. Our sleeper train experience was definitely one of those Vietnam travel moments I was really looking forward to. I was extremely excited about it. The train actually came with complimentary snacks, drinks, and even food during the journey. And since it was an overnight trip, in theory, I thought it would be a perfect time to relax and enjoy the ride. But reality, I was extremely under the weather by this point. Honestly, the sleeper train became my recovery zone. Instead of exploring or enjoying the views, I spent most of the ride sleeping and trying to get my energy back. Looking back, I'm actually grateful I had the time to reset because my body really needed it. The train itself was much better than I expected. There was AC, Wi-Fi, a train attendant with food cart available throughout the journey, and announcements for each stop so we knew where we were along the way, and a staff will come over to make sure that nobody is missing their stop. It felt like a unique way to travel across Vietnam while experiencing something different from flying. Later in the trip, we did end up sharing our cabin with two roommates from the Netherlands. They joined us later in the night and left earlier than we did. So it was honestly not that bad of an experience at all. It was a small glimpse into a backpacker lifestyle, sharing spaces, meeting new people, and embracing whatever comes with the journey. When we got off the train, we headed straight to our hotel, and this place was so freaking cute. It was a boutique hotel. And I ended up spending quite a bit of time in the lobby because it had a beautiful natural smoky pond filled with these huge koi fishes. It was such a peaceful and unique little feature that made the hotel feel extra special. Honestly, this was a perfect way to end our time in Asia. After staying in dorm-style rooms, hostels, constantly being on the move, me getting sick, and sharing spaces with so many people, we definitely deserved a little comfort and relaxation. On top of booking a boutique hotel, we decided to treat ourselves to a spa day. We asked the receptionist for their recommendation, trusted their suggestion, and headed out. Along the way, we found a pharmacy, which was perfect because I was able to stock up on all the medicine I needed. The pharmacist was such a sweetheart. And the best part, it was only a fraction of what I would pay in the US. I had about 7 to 9 different medicine, and it only costed me 40 US dollars. So I really didn't capture much footage of the spa experience because I was just like under the weather and not feeling myself. But honestly, it was an amazing and luxury treat. I treated myself with a full body massage, a complete facial, and at the end, they gave us complimentary soup and yogurt. And another best part? Everything only costed me about 50 USD. Such an incredible value compared to what I would have paid back at home or in Europe. I loved the service so much. Between the spa treatment, getting the right medicine, and finally catching up on sleep, I started to feel so much better. After we settled into our room at the hotel, we headed out to explore and see the beach. Of course, after spending time by the water, we had to get pho. While walking back from the beach, we found a spot that looked good and decided to try it. The pho was absolutely delicious and the most food in Vietnam. Incredibly affordable. The portion was huge, honestly way too much for me to finish, but I loved every bite of what I was able to enjoy. On our final night, I had to take advantage of the hotel's rooftop pool. After everything we experienced during the trip, I wanted to fully enjoy the amenities and make sure I got my money's worth. There's nothing like ending an unforgettable adventure with a relaxing swim while taking in the skyscraper skyline views.